Good evenings, this is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster. And this is a review of Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, Episode 5, Die Trying, followed by commentary. The Trek Yard guesses, spoiler, wrong. It was not Kronos, and it was not Deep Space Nine. They didn't say where specifically they were. Yeah, it sort of looked like something out of cross between Distant Destiny's ship and with the shield and everything, and a Starcracker's ship from the other timeline. They even referred to Sigma Draconis, which was the planet from Spock's brain, but in this case would be the Key Draconis system, which is Sigma Draconis is a colony of the TV planet from Silly Trek, Zillion Space. Again, yes, so we have that in there, but it was only referenced. Anyway, so next we have they go to the Federation, meet this stuffy admiral guy, wearing the sort of uniform that looks like a cross between Stalin era and pre-Nazi era Germany outfit. He's not, but it looks sort of like one because it's got the red chevrons here and that thing to him. That's probably not a good design there. It's not Bajoran at all. It's not Bajor. It's not Deep Space Nine. They kind of implied it, but I don't think it's supposed to, it's not in the episode, so it's just somewhere in space. They have some aliens called the Kali or the Kali are sick, so they have to go and the Kali are, of course, Starcracker's characters. They're sick, so they have to go and stop them by going to the Seed Vault ship. That's Distant Destinies. That's a Canary Space idea. So there's a guy, the Seed Vault ship with his family, and this guy on the Seed Vault ship who is phasing in and out of time because there was a solar flare that is poisoning them. Even though you think they would have shields, it's an ion storm. A bunch of goofy stuff going on. The ion storms were mentioned in the classic Trek as well, and it doesn't really make any sense that they would be a thing. I think they were referenced in Next Generation twice as well, including one of the movies, Insurrection. How would you get an ion storm in space? Also, the J.J. Abrams mentioned the lightning storm of space, so yeah. So they did mention ion storms there too. I don't know what that would be other than polarized energy, the negatively charged energy storm of some kind. They never really explained that. They just wanted to have like the analogy of them being in a space navy, in the classic Trek, and they're space navy, so they would encounter storms in space, even though it would be a nebula or a cloud or something, not a storm. A nebula. Oh well. And they have encountered it, like in Star Trek 2. And in The Best of Both Worlds. And in a couple of Enterprise episodes. Yeah, so this one has some Pine Hill people writing for it, of course. Not me. I was not involved in this one. We do have some interesting the stuff, like characters, the Barzan one, it just so happens that there's the guy on the ship is that they have to go to, it's phasing in out of time, is Barzan, and there's this weird melody that's played earlier in there, and then played again, reminiscent of not only Canary Space, Distant Destinies, but Starcrackers. A little bit of that. Also, a little bit of the Clark and Fontana story, and a little bit of the later one, the Fallen Ones story, thrown in there. We have a subplot of them, something Trek Yards did predict, which is awesome. They interrogate the Terran Universe lady. Take it temporal guy interrogates her. And he's got these thick glasses on, and he's doing the whole sort of Cronenbergian tall man kind of thing vibe going on. He's got the special glasses on him, like something out of an Eraserhead, crossed with a little bit of Max Headroom, crossed with a little bit of, which was something else. There's a character on MTV, Max Headroom, funny hair. It's supposed to be a spoof of David Bowie. and of course Cronenberg. And the guy in Cronenberg. A little bit of Billy Idol thrown in there. It's kind of cool that it's a familiar actor who was playing him. But he wasn't the thin, tall man from Twin Peaks, which is where they got the tall man stuff from. This Twin Peaks. There was a guy. And also Star Trek had Ruck, the giant android. It's clear he's some sort of a synth of some kind, and yeah, it's pretty obvious that he's a synthetic. So the synths are back in this universe. Sure. There's elements of the dark. This is supposed to be the end of the Dark Ages, the beginning of the Renaissance, or the lecture about the Renaissance in there, like in the Fallen Ones storyline. So yeah, it's very similar to what we did for the Silly Trek one, but that's because we knew some of what this season was going to be about, and we said, well, there's certain things we can't do in this novel. It's a fan film story because we'll give away stuff. So if we just put them on this planet where they're all encountering Viticola and his crew, then we're not necessarily giving away anything. We're just saying, okay, well, this is going on because they're there, the melody and that kind of thing. But it is very similar to Cillian Saga from this season because of that. Also, there's an oddity in that they take the Tau away, and I think they brought her back at the end. I'm not quite sure. I think they did, but yeah, they just sort of take her away to be scanned or something. And never mention it again. It seems to be a plot hole. Oops. Yeah. And then the Terran lady is Giorgio is freaked out at the end. It is like spacing out. Also, I find out that Detmer is nuts, or hopefully it's not the prediction of that control thing is in her, because that would be dumb. Hope they don't do that. Even commented about that on Trek Core. Hope they don't do that, because that would be stupid. But the idea that different characters can upload into people's minds is right out of Alt Transformers Mush. So they've been reading that. They've been watching that too. Yeah, so we do that. But they're robots in that case. They're synths. They're Transformers. They have computer brains, so they can just download information in their sparks and whatever. So it makes sense that they can do that because they're like, yeah, they're robots. They're not people. They're robots. They're just pretending to be like people. Makes sense. You can just download information. Go, I'm going to download. Blah, blah, download it. Blah, blah. And I didn't know the blinking thing was part of the hologram thing. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. There's a hologram scene. Yeah, very similar to a scene in Fallen Ones. Very similar. That's how very similar to a scene where they try to figure out how to get to the fantasy area and open it up. Is very similar thing to trick the holograms. Very similar. Yeah, they were on the same page. So, cool. But I didn't give away anything in that Cillian thing. You can read it. They're not on a holodeck. I'm saying that's not a dream. That's not what's going on. But on this other planet, they had a holodeck planet where they were doing stuff. So, in my story, not in Discovery. That's not where Discovery's going. It's the other story. The other story went in a different direction and said, let's take the obvious cliche and run with it. Amusement park planet. Let's run with that. Even though we know Discovery's not really going to do that, because that would be really silly if they did that. That would be like Lower Decks. Some of the Trek Core people are like, we don't like Lower Decks. It's too silly. No, Lower Decks is silly space. Lower Decks is fine. If you want some silly in space. Prodigy is going to be interesting. We can't say anything about that yet. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I will say that Kate Mulgrew has signed on for that one. I will say that. Anyway, so yeah, the character development is much better. They let Selena Martin Green act this season more like her. And I understand that in conventions she's extremely outgoing. She used to be on Walking Dead. She was a Walking Dead character. She's acting more like that character at this point. Yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it. This was Die for episode 5. Die Trying. I don't know why it was called Die Trying, but it was called Die Trying. And yeah, so nobody actually dies trying. Yeah, I would call it the Seed Vault or something. Oops. Subplot being rescue the Seed Vault, but that does beg the question: why couldn't they go there? They do reference the Voyager J. And there's ships without nacelles, and it looks a little like Deep Space Nine, and it's not. I would have been okay with the Admiral saying, "Welcome to Deep Space 9000" or something. Which would both be a reference to the Deep Space Nine and a reference to the HAL 9000 from 2001. I think he should have said that. To Deep Space 9000. Oh, wink. Sure. I would have really made them want to hang out. Now, Dave, we know that we can't do that, Dave. Psst. Go fix the AI-35 antenna. Because sometimes the villain in the story is cooler if he's seething, as Mark Card said when he played this Eric years ago. Seething with contempt can be a more evil villain than a villain that's blatantly out there. Just like, I'm evil to be evil. You can tell, like, Megatron is, like, evil to be evil and over the top. He's going, ha ha ha, evil, ha ha. But the one that's, like, the sneaky one, the contempted one, you don't know what he's going to do. Like, Starscream, you can tell what he's going to do. He's going to betray Megatron. Yeah. But if he's more like the Riddler instead of the Joker, then it's different. The Joker, yeah, he's all over the place. Can't tell what he's going to do, but it's all over the place, the Riddler. But also they're doing a little more Marvel stuff. I don't know what that WandaVision thing is, though. It's this weird idea. I mean, no, it's like an Imagine Deck, holodeck thing. Anyway, so it's got to be a holodeck. Well, it should go as an holodeck. Yeah. So none of the events in there have any SS. Yeah, they got it wrong. They also got Bane a little wrong in that movie, and for some reason, and no, I haven't seen Tenet. I don't know, but anyway, he's a so mumbling. They decided that it was okay to have him mumbling into his face mask the entire time, so you could not understand what in the hell he was talking about. Oh yes. Oh. Why did they do that? The Voyager J, although that does create an interesting paradox. Would they even know? And they wouldn't know what the Voyager was. They wouldn't know what that ship is. They would have no clue. Well, I said from the get-go, during the Fuller one, don't make this set in 2250 something. Make it in 2550. Make it, 50 years later. Then it would make sense. It's like after Picard and everybody else by, 50 years. It's after the game, No, we're going to have it be a prequel. You've done that already. It's going to look too advanced. Yeah. Oh, well. Fuller is back, though, doing some of the stuff behind the scenes. As well as Rod Roddenberry. So they're, the Transformer. I mean, not Transformer, the Star Trek. Back to the Star Trek.